welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to share a story with you about a lonely woman who was just looking for love and she got locked up for it. I tell ya, if by the end of this video you don't understand why everyone says life isn't fair, then I don't know what to tell ya. Now, this poor woman's story began back in 2017, and she finally just got the charges dropped against her in March of 2020. So for 3 years, this woman was seeking love, only to come up empty-handed at the end of her journey. Here's her story. 31-year-old Jacqueline Ades, a resident of the state of Florida, decided to look for love, so she went on an online dating app and met the man of her dreams. So she went to her psychic to find out if he was the perfect man for her, and her psychic said he was a healing angel sent just for her. So when her Arizona businessman, Healing Angel, wanted to meet in person, Jackie decided to make the road trip from Florida to Arizona for love. Who wouldn't, right? I love road trips. That's kind of a long one, though, so I'd probably fly. But anyway, so she gets to Arizona, they meet, and they go on their first date. Cute, right? Jackie said they got along swimmingly, and it was love at first sight. For her, anyway. So, after their date, as it's proper etiquette to do, Jackie sent her date a text to let him know how much she enjoyed their time together and that she looked forward to seeing him again. And again, and again, and again. After she returned home to Florida, she said the two kept in touch on WhatsApp for a bit, but his responses to her messages seemed to be coming less and less, and she didn't understand why. So she figured, as all us girls do, that maybe he didn't realize how much she loved him and that they belonged together. So she decided to let him know how loyal and devoted to him she was by sending him more and more messages. She wanted there to be no doubt in his mind that they were meant to be together. You know, she was trying to reassure him that she was the one for him. But her dream man, her healing angel, apparently didn't appreciate her dedication to their love, because he told reporters that when he started receiving in excess of 500 messages from Jackie every day, he blocked her. Wow, really? I thought men loved getting texts letting them know we're thinking of them. Apparently not, because this ungrateful man was being told constantly, and he didn't seem to appreciate it. Whatever. Anyway, since he blocked her and she had no way to let him know that she was waiting for him to scoop her up and ride her off into the sunset, he left her with no choice but to pack up and move to Arizona to be with him. What a selfish bastard. I'm sure she had a job, a home, friends, etc., and she felt she had no choice but to leave it all, to go to him, because he wouldn't come to her. All the loser had to do was respond to any one of her 500 plus messages to him each day to let her know that he was thinking of her too. But no, he couldn't even do that. Anyway, so she gets there, and she has no way to let him know that the love of his life has arrived because he blocked her. So of course she goes to his house. And you'd think the guy would be happy to see her, you know? But what does he do after she does all that for him? He calls the cops. That's how he welcomes her. Really? How rude is this guy? Chick moves across the country so they can be together, and he acts all freaked out, like he can't believe she's there. Which is all his fault. If he didn't block her, she could have sent him thousands of messages, letting him know she was coming and when to expect her. But instead of admitting his fault in it, he wants to freak out and call the cops because she shows up unannounced. Typical man. Can't take responsibility for their actions and refuses to ask for directions. I'll never understand it. They make things so much harder than they have to be. So, the cops told her that he didn't want her at his house and she needed to leave. To which she responded that he just doesn't realize it's her, because she couldn't let him know she was coming. But they didn't want to hear it. You know how cops can be. They decide who they want to side with, and that's that. They don't want to hear both sides of the story, or God forbid, the truth. So she left. But she had to find a way to let him know it was her, so he wouldn't keep sending her away. Because they belonged together. So he left her with no choice but to sit in her car outside of his home, waiting for him to come out so he could see that it was the love of his life that he had turned away. Poor girl did it for days. Day after day she waited outside his house, trying to tell his dumb ass it was her, and she was ready to be with him forever. But those pesky cops kept showing up and shooing her away. Girl couldn't get a break. She didn't know what the hell to do, and desperate times took desperate measures. She was not going to let that man suffer through life without her because she couldn't reach him. So she did what any woman in love would do. She waited for him to leave, and she broke into his house. That way, the cops wouldn't see her sitting outside in her car, and they couldn't send her away from the man she loved. Bet they didn't think of that. How stupid do they feel now? She outsmarted their stalking asses. All I have to say about that is you go, girl. Don't ever let people stop you from pursuing your dreams. I don't care who they are. People have nerve, don't they? Trying to stand between you and your dreams. Jealousy, I say. They're just jealous. Her plan was perfect. Then she'd be there waiting for him when he got home, and they could live happily ever after. Brilliant. Guy's lucky she was willing to do all that for him. I can't say I would have. I give her credit. She never gave up on true love. But, as brilliant as her plan was, her timing was really bad. Because when her dream man left the house that day, he left the country. So he was going to be gone for a while, and she wasn't going to get to surprise him as soon as she thought she would. But she did get to stay at his house while he was gone, so she got a really good idea what her life would be like when they got married and she lived there with him. She probably rearranged the kitchen cupboards so they were nice and organized, because most guys don't care about things like that. And she more than likely searched through all his stuff to make sure he wasn't cheating on her while she was busy rearranging her entire life for him. I know I would be. Let me find another chick's things in his house after everything I sacrificed for him? Oh, hell no. She probably went grocery shopping so she could get food to cook for him when he got home, etc., because apparently somebody noticed her coming and going from his home while he was gone and stuck their nose right in their personal business and called the cops. Who the hell did they think they are, interfering with true love? Obviously jealous jerks who can't find it for themselves. Have you ever heard of a girl having such a hard time simply trying to be with the man she loves? I mean, this is just getting stupid at this point. My heart goes out to this chick. So, of course, the anti-true love powers that be showed up and arrested her. All because they said they found her taking a bath with a glass of wine and a large kitchen knife on the side of the tub. When she asked why she was being arrested, she said they spewed some crap about breaking and entering and trespassing and blah blah blah. When she tried to clear up the misunderstanding and let them know that it was her boyfriend's house and that they were getting married, they said they didn't believe her and suggested that she was going to use the knife as a weapon if the homeowner came home. Now, I'm sorry, but this is where I need to step in and say something. Just because they didn't believe that that was her boyfriend's house, I think assuming she was going to use the large kitchen knife as a weapon was going way overboard. I think they had it out for her from the start, and they were just looking to pin anything on her that they could. They could have cleared up the whole knife theory by just asking her one simple question that they totally neglected. Did you have cheese with your wine? Duh. Who doesn't? They saw her glass of wine sitting there. Why else would she have a knife? She used it to cut the cheese as she was enjoying it with her wine. I mean, how exactly uncouth were these cops that they couldn't figure that out? See, It's this kind of case that would make me want to be her defense attorney, to stomp out all these types of false accusations and injustice. It's disgusting. Let the prosecutor bring up the knife. I'd rip him to shreds for not having enough class to understand proper wine and cheese pairings for bathing. What the hell are they teaching them in law school anyway? Apparently not the important stuff. And God help him if he tried to challenge me on it. I'd march straight to the media to let the world know and destroy his reputation. And I wouldn't even think twice about it. Then, just for fun, I'd send him boxes of wine and packs of American cheese slices throughout the rest of the trial, just to taunt him. But enough about the joys of being a defense attorney. Back to the story. So, poor Jackie gets arrested on some trumped up charges, and she tells them to contact her boyfriend and he'll explain the whole thing. Apparently, the guy's some big time CEO or CFO or ASS of a corporation, so they help police get a hold of him. And what does he do? Yep, you guessed it. He stabbed her in the back and told them she wasn't his girlfriend. They weren't in a relationship, and he never gave her permission to be in his home. What an ass. After everything she did for him. Moved across the country, reorganized his kitchen, and started preparing their home for their impending marriage, all without any help from him. And that's how he repays her. Wow. I gotta say, at this point, I'd seriously be questioning whether he feels the same way about me as I feel about him. 'Cause he's sending some seriously confusing signals. He'd really be trying my patience at this point, and we'd be sitting down to have a good old, if we want this relationship to work, we both need to give 100% discussion. But not Jackie. She tried to be understanding. Even when he told police she had sent him thousands of messages over a 10-month period, and he didn't know what to do. He said he responded to her here and there, but she became more and more hostile over time, so he blocked her. He claimed he felt she was threatening him by sending him messages saying she wanted to bathe in his blood, wear his skull, devour his organs, and wear his flesh. Aw. The love of his life expresses her desire to be close to him, and he feels threatened. Poor guy. But he did tell police one thing that I found very disturbing. He said she wanted to make sushi from his liver. How disgusting. I hate sushi. When police asked Jackie why she sent him over 160,000 messages over a 10-month period after only one date, she explained that it was necessary because love is excessive, and she discovered love. She said she never meant to scare him by the things she said, but she just wanted to share with him what was deep in her heart. Isn't that just like a man to get all creeped out any time you try to tell him your true feelings? I mean, seriously, why even bother? So, police charged her with stalking and trespassing, and said she's probably going to have to go to trial to face the charges. Which Jackie was fine with. She said she wanted a trial, so the jury would understand that she only wanted to love him, and they would order him to marry her. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, I didn't know a jury could order a plaintiff to marry a defendant. Actually, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, considering I run a true crime channel, and I desperately try to sound like I know what I'm talking about. But this is a new one for me. If I knew a jury could order someone to marry me, I would have been stalking a certain person I like a long time ago. Maybe I should start. I'm actually kind of excited about it, because he can't defy a court order, or he'll go to jail. Yes! Jackie's court-appointed attorney asked for a competency evaluation, and Jackie was not considered competent to stand trial. So, in March of 2020, all charges against her were dropped, and she was transferred from jail to a behavioral health center for a period of 2 weeks. Then her parents took her home to Florida to live with them. She was ordered not to contact her victim for 10 years, but she said she wouldn't need to, because he would contact her once she was released. During a press interview, Jackie told a reporter that all she ever wanted to do was love him, but if he didn't want her to, then she would just go back to loving her ex-boyfriend instead. As she should. Why waste your love on an ungrateful man who doesn't even appreciate it? I wouldn't. Unless I could get a jury to order him to marry me. Then, I'd think about it. Thank you so very much for spending time with me here on my channel. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on my next video.